Hey there, friends and foes. Good evening, Multiverse. This is not Saturday morning. This is Wednesday night. I am Johnny Beyond, your co host tonight, with our very special host, Dennis Pozzi, co owner of Books and More in Pulaski, Tennessee. How you doing tonight, Dennis?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
We are super excited that you are here, and I am having some Halo Top ice cream, by the way.
Mm.
Have you ever had this?
My wife loves it. It's her favorite.
I love this. 100 calories per serving, no added sugar. I don't know how they do this. It's delicious. Anyway, we're here courtesy of our Patreon community. They make this show possible. The Cereal Box Super Friends, of which Dennis is one of them. And if you would like to be a contributor and support our show, patreon.com/cerealboxpodcast. And if you become a VIP member like Dennis, you can host your own show once a month. And Dennis, this month, we are talking about the Gargoyles animated series from Disney. But before we do that, do you have anything you want to show off? Anything you want to share before we dig into Gargoyles?
Sure. So I tried to pick out that came up with a number of good ideas for this one, but I decided on Villages of Valeria. So this is a tiny box. The game has a lot of cards in it, and it is a competitive game for up to 5 players, and it's got some real fun medieval art, and you build out a little village or town out of these cards, and some of the buildings will help you produce resources, and others will help you produce gold, and it just gives you this sense over the course of a relatively short game that you're building out your little town. And what's neat about this game and games like it is that when it's your turn, you lead with an action. You say, I'm going to gather resources, or I'm going to build a new building, or I'm going to hire someone. You choose which action to take, and everybody else at the table also gets to choose whether or not they want to follow along with you. So I like games like that where everybody gets to play throughout the game, and they don't sit out while they're waiting for their turn. So I think it's a good game. Comes in a small box, and I think it packs a lot of fun in a game in a small box like that. It has some fun little pieces, little wooden coins, and
Can you
I
show
recommend
it? Can you show any of the coins?
Yeah, sure.
Let's see some
So
of
you have
those.
this tiny little box, and then you get all these little gold coins in it.
Oh wow, they're tiny.
They are, yeah. So, and then everything is cards. And what's neat on the cards is that it's like every part of the card does something different depending on what the action is that somebody's chosen. So I think that's it's useful. And the Valeria games, there are a number of Valeria games that are in that universe. So once you learn to play one, then the other games will seem to be part of a familiar story. They have a different.
Can you show us the box again?
Yep.
Villages of Valeria.
Yeah, and here's on the back. You can see some of the art from the cards.
Who publishes this?
This is by Daily Magic Games.
All right, very cool.
So that's the swag or the fun thing I wanted to show off today.
Yeah, or as we would say, prizes from the cereal box, aka new loot. Because Dennis, I think you and I are of a similar age. I think I'm a little bit older than you, but this show is about celebrating Saturday mornings, and that was a big part of the Saturday mornings, right? Sitting down with big bowls of cereal, but reaching into the box and pulling out those toys, those prizes, and those games. And I remember when I was a kid, a lot of cereal boxes would have game boards on the back, or sometimes even
Right.
inside. And
Something to look at or do while you were staring at the back of the box and eating your cereal. Yep.
well, there was one line of series, and I want to say it was Post, that one box had the game board published on it, and then another box you got a pack of cards, and then another box maybe like the dice or the meeples or the
Right.
tokens.
You had
And
to
so
keep buying until you got the whole thing, huh?
yeah, you had to collect them. Yeah. So I love that. And when I was a kid, rainy Saturday afternoons were board game days. That's what we were doing. And so I love, love, love board games. And I love that you always have something new to show off, because at Books and More in Pulaski, how many games do you guys have?
So I personally have, including the store's collection, I have about 500 games.
Wow.
And the store has 300 games that are just on the shelf. You come in, no charge, just take it off, sit down and play it, treat it like it's yours. And we can go beyond that. If you come in and you take a game and you play it, then the next time you buy any game, we'll take 10% off, right?
Wow.
We really want to encourage you to come down, sit at one of our tables and play. We've been doing virtual game nights ever since COVID, but soon I'm hoping to see even more organized game nights in the store. But you don't. Anytime we're open, you can come in, grab a game off the shelf, sit and play it, and like I said, we'll give you your next purchase 10% off to reward you for coming in and making our place a place to play. So.
And what are the hours?
We are open 10 to 5, Monday through Saturday.
Okay. All right. Books and More in Pulaski, Tennessee.
Yep. Right in the downtown square.
I love that. Love that. Well, I don't have anything to show off myself this week. That's not true. I've got a lot of new loot, a lot of new swag, but I've been so busy at the day job that I haven't had a chance to pull any of it. But
did you say you had a comic book to show us? The first edition of Gargoyles. Did you have that ready?
I do have it. I own it, but I do not have it ready. I could not find it.
It's a pity.
Yeah, it is a pity. It is behind me somewhere, and I've been working so much overtime at the day job that I've not had a second to really do much of anything, including, I'm sad to say, watching some episodes of this show. So, Dennis?
Now, did you watch this show in the past?
No.
Okay.
I have a confession to make. I've seen snippets, but I've never seen a full episode. And I think it's probably because of when it came out. Now, when I was a kid, there was a movie called Gargoyles that was kind of like a horror movie. And it came out, I want to say, well, I'll be able to tell you here in just a minute. 1972 is when this movie Gargoyles came out. And I saw it probably 10 years later when I was about 10 years old. And it was, at the time, to me, absolutely fascinating. I was riveted to the screen to watch this movie. I recently went back and rewatched it. It is not riveting. It is not good. I was watching it going, how did I ever fall in love with this movie? Because it wasn't good. So I'm
going to make a recommendation for you.
Yeah.
When you decide that you want to watch Gargoyles, there's 2 multi-part series, basically movies over multiple episodes that I really recommend you watch. And the first one, of course, is the first 5 episodes, Awakening Part 1 through 5. You watch that and you enjoy it, then you'll know whether or not you want to watch the rest. Then the other one is a 4-part series called City of Stone.
All right. I found a still photo from the 1972 Gargoyles movie.
Huh.
And they were like in hibernation in caves in the desert, like Nevada or New Mexico, and they suddenly come to life, and they fly out of the caves and terrorize the town, and yeah. Anyway, it was a thing. So we're talking though about the Gargoyles animated series and Tale of the Tape. Gargoyles was also known as Gargoyles the Goliath Chronicles for season 3. But
Right.
it is an animated television series produced by Walt Disney Television Animation in collaboration with Walt Disney Animation Japan for its first 2 seasons and Nelvana for its final season. It originally aired from October 24th, 1994 to February 15th, 1997. And the series features a species of nocturnal creatures known as gargoyles that turn to stone during the day. And after spending thousands of years in an enchanted, petrified state, the gargoyles, who have been transported from medieval Scotland, are reawakened in modern day New York City and take on the roles as the city's secret nighttime protectors. Dun, dun, dun. Now, here's what I do know, and you'll elaborate on this. This show was much more complex than a lot of the animated shows of the day. 94 through 97. I was actually in college. Well, I was graduating college and getting married. That's probably why I didn't really watch this. I was into other
I
things.
was doing the same thing. So I really watched this series. I saw it a couple of times when it aired, and then later on reruns. And now it's on Disney Plus.
Yes, and I know that it's something that I need to be more familiar with because you were telling me something as we were going getting ready to go live, and I'm just going to show some of these characters. There's Goliath and the woman with him. Is she a cop?
She
Uh,
is
yeah. What is her name?
Alyssa.
Alyssa. So Goliath is the leader, and Alyssa is an ally. But I always got the sense that she was a romantic interest for Goliath.
Over a great deal of time. Yes, there's kissing. That they actually have a. Remember when he first awakens? Um, he for him it's been 1,000 years. He's out of time, he's out of place, but he hasn't experienced that 1,000 years, so he just saw a good portion of his family destroyed, and then he was frozen with them. So he saw a good portion of his family destroyed, the rest of them sealed by a spell so that they would not be turned from stone back into creature until they their castle was above the clouds. That was the rule. So he expected really to never be awakened.
So hence, they're moved from Scotland to New York City, and is part of the castle moved with them and installed on top of a
So
skyscraper in New
yeah,
York.
yeah, exactly. So imagine a Lex Luthor like character, right? Merciless, insanely rich businessman. And when Goliath awakens, all that he knows is that this man has piece by piece, stone by stone, moved the castle that he was sworn to protect, or that he saw as his home, where uh, his clan's children were eggs in the stored, moved on top of this giant skyscraper in Manhattan. And into the first few episodes, that castle is attacked. He can't live there anymore. Um, and he actually grows to see or think of all of Manhattan as his castle to defend.
Interesting. And the businessman, he's kind of the main villain, isn't he? Xanatos, is that his name?
He is one of the main villains, and he's a recurring villain through the whole thing. Um, and but
Well,
his Goliath's mate is the other sort of central villain here, and
Demona, we've got her
Demona.
on the screen.
I see her. Yeah, Demona.
Well, here,
And
but before we get to Demona,
right.
let's talk about some of these other characters. I don't know much about this guy, but I believe he is a rather popular fan favorite.
Okay, so this is sort of a fiery guy. His name is Brooklyn, and his character is sort of hot-headed, action-oriented kind of guy. But uh, he is very well loved character. This is sort of that grandfatherly character. He's giving advice to Goliath as leader of the clan. He's sort of, retired from being the guy in charge, and he is a Luddite. He
Okay.
does not like any of this newfangled nonsense. He very much not trying to acclimate to the 1,000 years of change.
I saw an action figure of him. It's the Super 7 Ultimates line at Books a Million today. And I was this close to getting it. But I don't have any other Gargoyles figures. So I felt like, probably don't need to start a new collection. Tell us
If
about
I were
this
going to
guy.
pick a character, I would want Goliath or Demona. But
Yeah, well, same here.
so this guy is very happy to be here in Manhattan. Oh, wants to try out all the new food and entertainment. Is little heavy set, but just sweet. He's kind of that heart character. I would say he's like the Shaggy of this group.
But he's
Uh,
firing a gun. What's this all about?
it's always oh okay. Um, there is an episode that was actually pulled, and he picks up a gun and fires it and injures uh, Alyssa, and then has to flies her to the emergency room. It was meant to teach kids about the dangers of firearms and fire safety, but parents were outraged and it was pulled. So that
Interesting.
that would be from that episode. They did not normally fire guns.
Well, let's talk about Demona.
Yes. So
So
Demona
I,
is go ahead.
I didn't know this before you and I spoke before going live on air. I asked because it seemed to me like there was a romantic relationship between her and Goliath from the clips that I've seen, from what I remembered, but she is one of the main villains. And you enlightened me, enlightened the rest of our audience.
So this is Goliath's mate. So before they were frozen, uh, for 20 years, she was Goliath's mate. She was a respected member of that clan. She's always been ambitious. She's always been wanting to grow in magic. She learned from the Archmage. She's uh, She's always been this ambitious power-seeking character, but she took. So there's a bit of story in these first 5 episodes about how we get to the point where they're frozen in stone, and it basically comes down to uh, suspicion because their appearance to the humans, even the humans that they were sworn to protect, the castle, uh, they see these fierce warriors as a threat. They didn't accept them, right? So there was mistrust, and that mistrust was used to make them look like traitors. And they were just fighting to um, protect and get revenge against the Vikings that attacked their city. So a plot was hatched, and it saw everyone but Demona and Goliath frozen, not for 1,000 years, essentially forever, until they were above the clouds. What was the chances that a stone character is going to be on top of a skyscraper? In fact, yeah, the physics are really interesting to think about. But she was not frozen, and Goliath was not originally frozen. He asked them to put the same curse, same spell on him, so that he could sleep with what remained of his family. She, unbeknownst to Goliath, did not get frozen in stone. She spent 1,000 years losing her mind and seeking vengeance on the humans and seeking power. And she is the reason why the castle was moved on top of the building. She's the one who has been influencing this Xanatos character to use his money and wealth in pursuit of the Gargoyles' power. And she has given him the impression that if he owns the building that the castle's on, that they will serve him.
So, does she know? Is she deceiving him, or is she really hoping that the gargoyles will side with her and serve him?
She wants to kill all the humans, and Gargoyle's the only one left, so she's deceiving him. She hates humans. He's a tool for her. But he's just as manipulative. So one of the core things that happens in the first 5 episodes is that Xanatos says, I rescued your people, and I brought the castle here, and I expect you to be loyal to me. And these people that you just fought, they have stolen from me these secrets. And there's this elaborate plan. They break up into teams of 2, and they fly out and they steal these discs, floppy discs, like 3.5-inch size floppy discs with the secrets, and they give them all to him. And on one of the 3 places, Demona actually causes, it was an airship, and Demona causes that ship to crash and everybody to be killed, right? And Goliath's like, oh, that's really harsh. You really don't like these humans. Whatever. And then it comes out, because of Alyssa's investigation, that the people they took the discs from all worked for Xanatos. It was a test of loyalty. And
wow, okay.
Yeah. So another thing that happens, and this is where, obviously Goliath doesn't trust the humans, doesn't hate the humans like Demona, but doesn't trust the humans. And it turns out that Eliza and Goliath are fighting against these, Xanatos' enemies that are coming towards him. These enemies that Xanatos has sent, and they're coming after him. They're trying to attack him and get him, and they do it. They end up in Central Park, and they're fighting back, and it's getting later and later, and they can't make it back. So he turns into stone in the middle of the park, and she protects his vulnerable stone body through the entire day, um, being clever and fighting back against these agents, and really earns his trust. And she later in that episode, both Demona and Elisa fall from the top of the um, skyscraper, and by then Goliath knows that Demona has lied to him and deceived him, and Goliath saves Elisa and not Demona.
So, wow. Okay. So Goliath comes to after 1,000 years.
Uh-huh.
Demona has been, rampaging and trying to eliminate humans. She's hoping that the rest of the gargoyles will side with her and eliminate the humans and serve her and whatnot. Goliath comes to. Demona is here, and do they start off where they left off?
Oh, yeah. I yes, but the that she's not at the same place morally that he's at becomes evident through the whole. But he's in love. This is his mate, and he's just so happy to have her back. Like the first episode or half of the first episode, she's not there, and then Xanatos reunites them and says she's actually the reason why I knew to move you all here, and she's uh, I had you. Uh, I saved her and I saved you, right? And so he's like, "Oh, I've been reunited. This is my mate. I'm so happy." And then as they're going on these missions together that Xanatos has set up, he begins to see that she's not the person that is his mate. I mean, always been ambitious, but now really turned evil. And it's not so much that she has been waging a war against the humans for 1,000 years. She's been plotting to destroy them for 1,000 years. This is the culmination now, and she expects the clan to back her, and she expects to manipulate Xanatos in order to cause it.
Gotcha. So I have some more questions for you, but first we have a comment from viewer Virgil Tibbs. He says, "Hey, long time. Good to see you, Virgil." And anyone who is watching, you can comment as well in the chat. And I am super excited because Aubrey is here. Please welcome your wife's favorite redhead. She is the one, the only Aubrey Cavett doing
Wow.
an Eliza cosplay.
Awesome. I love it.
How are you, Aubrey?
Doing well. How are you doing this evening?
Good. You're packing. You're moving. How exciting. How exhausting.
Oh, yes, very much so. I didn't know if I was going to get this wig on at all.
Well, I love it. I love it. And so we're talking about, for those of you who are just joining us, and Aubrey, we're talking about Gargoyles, the Disney animated series. And were you familiar with this before we brought this up? Yeah. Are you a big fan?
I am. I'm not as big a fan as some that I know are watching right now, so I'm not going to pretend. But I will say that I would rush home after the bus to catch Gargoyles.
So this was a weekday show?
Well, when it was being broadcast in my area up north, I think it might have been reruns. It might not have been the first run that they had.
So it was. That's actually why the second season is 52 episodes. So the first season is 13. They expected to be renewed for the 13, but because of the syndication, they wanted to have enough episodes to air it every day. So they demanded 52, and the creators had to very quickly quadruple their staff and try to accommodate that. So you'll get some storylines that open issues that don't get resolved. There was a lot of there was at least 2 backdoor pilots they were trying to create for another series.
So tell us about the other series. What was that?
Right. So there was basically an Arthurian story about King Arthur and Avalon and sort of they introduced a whole sort of pantheon of characters in this Avalon space, and those were introduced in the 2nd season, and because there's this amulet that allowed that there's a lot of time travel in this series.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
so you're making me super excited because Aubrey, I confessed earlier, I've never seen this show. I've seen snippets. And even preparing for this episode tonight, I didn't have any time outside of the crushing day job to watch any of this to catch up. So I'm learning something brand new, and I am obsessed, Dennis, with time travel stories.
Yeah. Well, this is the really interesting time travel. You have people going back to save themselves and give themselves secrets. You have the Illuminati in here. You have Puck, this trickster guy played by Brent Spiner, who appears in several episodes. You have Oberon and all of his children.
So the Shakespearean, the 12th Night pantheon.
You have these 3 characters called the Weird Sisters who appear as 3 gargoyles at one point. They appear as 3 humans at one point, and they actually tie a character named Macbeth, who is human, to Demona, and in a kind of Voldemort, Harry Potter kind of thing, that they can only die by each other's hand.
So I love this. So I love time travel stories. I am obsessed with Arthurian legend and myth. I've read and seen every version of the King Arthur story that there is. And I love it when creators do something that I love to do in my books, and that is make these connections to different time periods, different IPs, different legends and myths that weren't necessarily obvious or apparent. And that sounds like what this show is doing.
Yeah.
I've got to sit down and watch it now. I'm Aubrey, if I disappear for several weeks, I've fallen down the deep hole of Gargoyles TV.
Well, our show is taking a break for December, so
yes,
there's time to go down rabbit holes for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, listen, since Aubrey is here, Dennis, I'm glad she's here because I wanted to talk about one of her favorite aspects of any of these shows, and that is the voice cast.
I knew you'd say that.
I'm looking at the regular cast. So we've got Ed Asner as Hudson and Jack Danforth. Keith David, who plays Goliath. A lot of people may not know his name, but if you see his voice, you've seen him in over 300 roles across film, stage, television. He is one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood. Jonathan Frakes from Star Trek Next Generation is Xanatos and Coyote. And Marina Sirtis is Demona. Frank Welker is Bronx. Actually, he plays
that one so good.
What's that?
Bronx in this is so good.
Wait, is it Bronx or Brooklyn? This guy
That's
you said
Brooklyn.
Was Brooklyn. Who is Bronx? I didn't find that.
Bronx is like almost like a dog character.
Right there.
He's the one on the far left.
Okay. Very cool. But then, oh my gosh, the recurring cast members reads like a who's who of television. Diedrich Bader, Michael Bell. Those of you, many of you may not know Michael Bell, but he did everything. I mean, he was just in everything. Clancy Brown. You got Robert Culp. Holy cow, Robert Culp. Jim Cummings as Dingo. Tim Curry
Yes.
is in this.
You've got to watch these episodes. There's so many of them that had me glued to the screen.
Matt Frewer, Max Headroom, Richard Grieco from 21 Jump Street. You mentioned Brent Spiner. Yeah, Cree Summer is in this. Who else? Jim
Belushi.
Jim Belushi.
Nichelle Nichols.
John Rice Davies. Laura San Giacomo, who I had a huge crush on, by the way. I mean, it just goes on. Terrence Mann is Oberon. Hello? I mean, what? And then the guest stars: Avery Brooks, LeVar Burton, Alan Cumming.
That's an episode to watch.
Wow. Hector Elizondo. Cole Meany from Star Trek. Holy cow. Tony Shalhoub. Monk. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. How in the world did they get such a phenomenal cast?
Well, the one of the things, at least the Star Trek episode, the characters, they get because the TNG cast, they loved each other. They were family. So you had this show that was fronted by Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis. So they're already getting their friends to come and voice and play with them was very, very easy. They got paid, but you know the
yeah.
But the sway of that is going to be heavy, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but just outside of that, the heavy hitters.
Right, so many, yeah.
Ed Asner, holy crap. Who would have thought that Ed Asner would be doing an afternoon Disney animated show?
It's amazing.
So here I have another question about that. So, Dennis, you were talking about Gargoyles was a direct response by Disney to like a follow-up response to one of their other shows.
So, yes, and one that I've already talked about. And it also follows a pattern of so many Disney things that happened while Michael Eisner was CEO. And he says time and time again, my kids like this. You should do it. So his kids liked a candy called gummy bears. So they did a whole series about a gummy bears. He had a medieval adventure with these heroes that were not accepted by the society that they were in. And the goal is to get the humans and the gummy bears at least to treat each other better, right? And so fast forward a few years, and Eisner says, we need a new show. Make one that like my kids would like. They liked the Gummy Bears show we did. Do more of that. So they say they also, there's some police procedurals that were influences, and the one of the showrunners, they chose the Gargoyles because one of the showrunners had a fascination with taking pictures of the Gargoyles out there, and they wanted this idea of, I mean, the gummy bears were cute, right? They wanted to take a monster and make the monster the heroes.
I love this idea. So you mentioned police procedurals, And Aubrey is doing a great Eliza cosplay. I feel like, based on what you just said, that she was influenced by Cagney and Lacey.
Could be.
Any thoughts on that? I mean, it's just my feeling. You don't know if that is or is not.
I don't know.
I
That is
do
not
not
one of the. That is not one of the series that is quoted as being a source. One of the showrunners was a co-producer of a other Disney animated in that Disney syndicated block. What's about the police officer leopard cat Bonkers.
Oh, yeah, Bonkers.
Yeah. So they actually say the to be continued format comes from his run as a co-producer of and there are so many for a show that really only had two. Don't even think about that third season. For a show that really only had 2 seasons, although one of them with 52 episodes, it has a lot of arcs.
That's true. That's true.
And those really, for the most part, are the like I recommended at the beginning. If you aren't sure about this series, watch that first arc and then watch City of Stone. That 4-parter where Demona actually accomplishes in a way her goal of putting her plan in motion to end humanity and make the gargoyles the dominant species.
All right. So here's my next question. I know this came out in 94 to 97. So we're several years past the debut of Batman the Animated Series, but I gotta feel like with a lot of the tonality of this, there was an effort to capture that audience as well.
I think so. They were intentionally making a darker, action-packed, not adult, but older, older audience-focused, less comedic series. And there's all this Shakespeare that they bring into it, and these big story arcs, big swings. You know what name you didn't mention in this list? There's a character called Coldstone, played by Michael Dorn.
Oh, yeah, he's on the list, and I just skipped right over it.
A very intense character.
This is an incredible character who's been brought back from pieces of gargoyles that were rescued from the members of Goliath's clan that were butchered in the opening episode. Right,
It's
he lost his
horrific idea.
Right, so he's been pieced back together. Maybe they took an arm from this, an arm from that, and then used Xanatos had created these cyborg gargoyles when the gargoyles wouldn't be completely obedient to him. He kind of used them somehow to create this mechanized version of it. So Cold Stone, but they didn't win. They lost. They didn't have the personality to be, even though they were stronger and they could actually fly instead of glide.
They were stronger.
But they didn't win.
No, because it was heart.
It was all about heart. So what does Andrew says? Okay, I'm gonna cobble together a half a cyborg version of the gargoyle from these pieces that are left behind of his fall. So Goliath's brother is one, and appears to be the person that Coldstone is, but there are 2 other very different personalities in this body. So you'll have episodes where one of those bodies is one of the other minds is kind of leading the episode, and because he's a cyborg, Xanatos is actually hacking in to this mind that's been created, this amalgam, and there's this virtual reality episode. Goliath actually goes in to fight alongside Xanatos in the war for the mind of this character, but just he's like a tragedy of a character. This and it's really taken from Othello. So you have Othello, you have Midsummer Night's Dream, you have Macbeth, you have all of this Shakespeare brought into, and to make it because they came from 994, and the
Oh, I love that.
yeah.
This is an
There you
action
go.
figure of Cold Stone.
Wow, isn't he just dangerous looking?
Yes.
Okay, we need to see cosplays of this, people. If you're watching that is what you need to accomplish in cosplay. I wanna see this is
And
like
I think-
Warhammer
So
and
there
Best
is-
When They Had a Baby. You got to do this.
There is rumored to be a live action Gargoyles coming from Disney. It's a rumor. I don't know that it's been greenlit, but they've been.
So I while we were getting ready, I did research it because I've heard this rumor too. It is going to be a Disney Plus TV series.
Oh man, now I got to get Disney Plus again.
Yeah. Well, all the Gargoyles are on Disney Plus too. So
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So
Okay.
hey,
there's been a cosplay of Goliath that was one of the things that came out in advance of that live action role play, and so I think you might get what you're looking for, is a role play of Cold Stone, especially as a response to this series if it comes out. So
yeah, and tons of Goliath cosplayers out there. One of our friends, Night Mage, does an epic Goliath cosplay, and let me see if I can save this, and show you our friend Night Mage as Goliath. And while we're doing that, we also have some awesome comments from our viewers. But this is Night Mage as Goliath.
Nice.
that's fantastic.
Nice.
He is a friend of the show, and maybe we need to get him on for an episode. But we do have some awesome comments. So Virgil Tibbs says Bronx was the dog.
Yep.
And then he said Ed Asner was also doing Spider-Man. He was Jay Jonah. I had forgotten that.
Yes.
So good as Jonah.
Yeah.
Very obnoxious.
And he says Cagney and Lacey. No way. Elizabeth Eliza was more Pam Grier, Foxy Brown. I can see that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. I wanted to thank you for saying that, because as a female who cut my teeth on, Agatha Christie, I loved mysteries. When you combine, and then I loved Dick Tracy and, all the old black and white detective shows. Everything about that. I was a Sherlock fan as a teen, a young tween, so I have to say that to see a strong female character in the role of authority as an officer, who I'm cosplaying right now, she was Native American and African. She, it was exposed later on, her heritage. I think that's correct. Am I correct in that? I could have sworn that's what that was. Yes, she's so beautiful, a very strong character, doesn't trust them immediately. She the only thing that she connects with that makes her even not want to destroy them is that Goliath and her both want to save their people, and she understands that so deeply. So that's what connects them, with the desire to connect their family to safety, and to be that person that keeps their community going. And they saw that in each other. And then by season 2, they're in love. And I'm like,
well, hold on. Wait. Hold up right there. We're going to get there in just a minute. Andrew Milden is joining us, says, always loved that man, Xanatos, had so much money to dig up a castle and put it on top of a skyscraper.
I know.
I spent some time today just thinking about the physics, right?
I don't see Elon Musk doing that.
If anybody would.
I know.
That's a bit much.
So Aubrey, you started to spoil it. So because before you came on, we were talking about how Goliath and Demona were mates. So here's what I got to ask. As the series progresses, Eliza and Goliath eventually fall in love. They become a couple. But how does Demona handle this relationship?
I mean, they become enemies. It's sometimes they have to work together throughout the show.
How could you betray your race? That's how Demona thinks. How can you betray your race?
It really spoke about maybe some racial undertones a little bit with this, which I loved, except it was, different species. But it really did bring home a little bit of that in that. And I felt that, as a younger person. I went from up north where, our community was very interracial and mixed, and genders and religions were all mixed up north. And I come to the South, I'm 13, and it's a culture shock. It's completely different in some areas. And then you go to Georgia, which I was in Harlem, Georgia for part of my high school years, totally different there. So that really spoke to me throughout the years. I was one of those people, the minute I heard the Gargoyles, I was like, I want to go sit down.
Well, so here's my next question, Dennis. Were the Gargoyles always monsters? Or were they transformed into monsters through magic, or how did that come to be?
So they are creatures. This is one clan of creatures that turn to stone during the day, and they are protectors. They are warriors. They protect their home from invaders. They are not monsters. But
okay.
They are monstrous looking, and the humans instinctively don't trust them.
So from the very beginning, they would turn to stone during the day? That wasn't part of the curse?
No. The curse was that they stayed stone.
Okay.
No, the way that they are in Manhattan, where while the sun is out, they are stone, and at night they are
flesh and blood.
Flesh and blood. They can bleed. They can be cloned. So.
Wow. See, so in a lot of ways, stone by day, flesh and blood by night reminds me a lot of the movie Lady Hawk.
I remember that. Where they were locked, so they only at dusk and dawn, the only time they could touch each other.
Yeah. I mean, not the same, not completely the same, but in a way, stone by day, they're kind of helpless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they were able to be transported, weren't they? At one point.
Yeah, they were transported. But during that time they were under the curse, right? So they couldn't turn. They couldn't turn from stone no matter what happened until they were above the clouds.
Yeah. Okay. So this show, our show, for those of you watching, is all about reintroducing people to the fun of the, IPs, the entertainment, the cartoons, comic books, kaiju movies of their youth, and in a lot of cases reminding them of what they loved. Or a lot of Saturday mornings, Aubrey, we're introducing people to something they had forgotten about or never knew about. And that's what has just happened to me. My show has served the purpose that it was intended for our audience. So now I feel like I'm going to become obsessed with this show if I watch it.
Once you start Gargoyles, you really can't not finish at least a full season. The desire to see what happens next in the story gets stronger. This is one of my favorite Disney series of the time. I can't say that it's not. It
has a real nice beginning and ending. Watch. There's a multi-episode good ending in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And for those of you who don't have Disney Plus or you're not really into watching animation, I mean, why are you watching the show if you're not? But
they're here for the cereal.
Yeah, you can pick up
the cereal. I missed the cereal.
No. But you can pick up the comic book series from Dynamite. It is ongoing right now, and I read the first issue. I have it somewhere. It was really great. And I'm waiting for the trade paperback collection to come out. But I don't know.
Do you see the name in the top left corner? It says Weissman.
Yeah.
Yes.
True fans of Gargoyles, that's the name they look for to decide whether or not the story is canon.
Oh.
That's fair.
So the comic book series is canon.
If it has his name on it.
Yeah, he's writing it.
I'm just, you know what? I can't see Goliath as that cover though. I know he's strong and all, but all I see is this romantic teddy bear that protects his family. I'm sorry, I saw too many of these episodes.
But he is violent and he gets angry, but he is a fierce protector and he loves whom he loves.
He really does. They should never advertise those kind of relationships. Those are not teenagers. It was very mature in the relationship department, I felt like, for a teen show. But that being said, as an adult, you can go back and actually enjoy a bit of the drama.
So I have a question for everybody watching, and especially you, Dennis. So I see a lot of people, hypothesizing about a Avengers style super team, but with the Disney universe characters. And you always see the same couple of characters, and Goliath is almost always named as the leader of this hypothetical super team. But who else would be on a Disney characters Avengers style super team?
Well, Elsa for sure, right?
Okay. Elsa. Stitch.
Yeah, maybe Stitch. Stitch would be that wild card character, really.
Maybe Hercules and or the strong sister from Encanto.
Yeah. What about Maui from Moana?
Maui. Yeah. You need a marksman. So Robin Hood.
Ooh, you always go with Robin.
Yeah. I like Robin. Yeah, that's good.
And you need another flyer. So Peter Pan.
Maybe, but why Peter Pan? Why don't you have Tinkerbell?
Faster.
And with the magic.
Yeah. That's true. Peter didn't have his own.
And then you could have a Tony Stark or Mr. Fantastic character from Meet the Robinson, Wilbur Robinson, right?
Yeah.
He's the most crazy inventor, and
that's a deep cut right there.
There you go.
No, that's a good one. I love that. Yes.
I think it's when it came out and what I was going through at the time, but that keep moving forward it really struck me, and that's always going to be one of my favorite films. You know, it's the family you make that matters.
So, same thought process. What if Demona forms a Legion of Doom
Ooh.
style assemblage?
So Dr. Facilier, definitely Dr. Facilier.
Maleficent.
Gotta have Maleficent.
She's got like so many powers.
Oh, Madam
Wait,
Mim.
the Wicked Witch. I mean, we've got just
The Evil Queen.
Shout out to Wicked coming out.
Oh yes. Hades.
Ooh, Hades, that's a good one. Yeah, but you know
you can't wait. You can't have the Wicked Witch because
Why?
she's Warner Brothers.
Oh,
we're talking about Disney characters.
But you could have the evil. You could have the Evil Queen.
Yep, from Snow White.
Okay, that's true. Yeah.
And Ursula.
Ooh. I mean, she doesn't mind taking down a bunch of humans. She showed that she can take a whole ship down and just not blink. So yeah, she could murder some people.
See, the only problem is, and I think we got to throw in Jafar here. The problem is this Legion of Doom. They're all going to fight against each other too.
Yes.
It's going to be nothing but chaotic infighting.
Yes.
So it'll be more like the.
Why don't we have a Sith in here too? I feel like Disney, they've got them, so we should have a Sith in the team.
Oh, Virgil Tibbs says for the Avengers team, Darkwing Duck.
Oh, yes. You watched that episode, did you, Virgil?
And he said for the Legion of Doom characters, Syndrome from Incredible. See,
yes, agree.
Here's the only thing. I've got a hesitation about using Pixar characters. They're owned by Disney, but they're not really Disney.
And I think you're gonna get. I think you're gonna end up with a cast of villains that's more like Spider-Man's enemies, or the sort of cabals that happen in the DC world, where there's really no strong. You don't have that Magneto character to really hold them together. So, but you'll have this more chaotic, like some cabal with the kingpin at the top, right?
So who's the first one to betray Demona?
Oh,
wait, is Jafar in the mix?
Yeah, Jafar is in the mix.
If Jafar is in the mix, I say Jafar. The minute they get enough power and he can take it from them, I say if Jafar's in the mix, he's the first one. He's the slipperiest villain that just walks away, just says a few words, and whoop, everybody's mesmerized. It's over.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, believe it or not, we are already at the hour. Virgil Tibbs says the killer of Bambi's mom would betray Demona. Oh, boo, Virgil, boo. But we are at the hour, so it's time for us to say so long, farewell. Thank you, Aubrey, for joining us amidst your packing. And Dennis, as always, you bring a depth of knowledge and give me something to go check out on my own that I normally wouldn't have. So thank you so much for that. Everybody watching, make sure you, if you're in the Middle Tennessee area, go check out Books and More in Pulaski, Tennessee. You can follow Aubrey at Miss Kindred Ivy on Instagram, and check out more of our show at backofthestorybox.fun. You can follow me at Johnny Beyond. And as always, if you love the show, become a contributor at patreon.com, become a Serial Box Super Friend, and Get your name in lights. $1, $2, $5, $10, $20. Hallelujah. A C note every month to help us create quality programming just for you. And if you hate our show, donate even more generously so that we can improve just for you. Dennis, any last comments on Gargoyles before we say goodnight?
You know, every episode I feel like I presented you with something that you hadn't really considered when it first came out, and I am so happy to have got you with this one.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to hear back how much you loved it.
Yeah, I think I'm hooked. Aubrey?
Oh yeah. Oh, it just brings back fond memories. It's honestly something that I hope to have in my cabinet of things that if I don't want to go somewhere that's an app, I can just pop it in and watch it over and over again. This will be on my shelf one day, the whole collection.
Fantastic. Well, I'm definitely going to chase it down. I'm going to invest some time and fall in love with Gargoyles. Thank you so much, Dennis. And for those of you watching, thank you so much. If you love what we do, share it with 200-300 of your closest friends and family. Tell them to come share the fun. And this Saturday, I almost forgot to mention, it's our 4th year anniversary. Exactly 4 years to the day. This Saturday, we launched Back of the Cereal Box. And if you would like to be a part of the show, we have opened it up to our Facebook group members on the Saturday Morning Rec Room. You can join us on air, on camera. Your camera, our camera. You can be a guest in the virtual rec room. And if you can't do that, but you want to send us a message, a video message, an audio message, we would love to play it during the show. Just say, thank you, Back of the Cereal Box. Happy 4th anniversary. That would be great. And we are going to be talking about this Saturday morning, Godzilla -1, because we are in the midst of Kaiju Month. And that's why we picked Gargoyles for this episode, because they're not really Kaiju, but they're Kaiju adjacent. And you know what? Goliath versus Godzilla. I want to see that. Anyway.
Mecha Goliath versus Godzilla.
All right.
There we go.
So we'll be talking about Godzilla -1, 70 years old this year, and the first Godzilla movie to win an Academy Award. So join us this Saturday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. And even if you can't be on camera, join us in the virtual rec room. Share your comments, your thoughts. And until then, thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Aubrey. Until the next time, love you, mean it. And we'll catch you on the Back of the Cereal Box. Ta-da!